Hey Valley Creek guitar players, so we're going to go ahead and continue with this idea of important chord shapes to know on the acoustic guitar. So we're going to look at shapes in the key of G. So this is assuming that you already have a basic music theory understanding of key centers and your like Nashville numbers and those key centers, what it means for the 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4, 5, 6, and 7 chords of any key center. So we're going to look at the key of G. So I like to start our 1 chord in key of G. This is the way I like to play a G. There's different variations that people teach you. I find this one effective if you're going to strum really hard to get a real rich sound. So what's happening here is I have my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, muting the A string, open D, open G, and then the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E. There's our 1 chord. Now we're going to go to our 2 chord, which is our A minor. And I don't play a traditional A minor. I like to do the A minor like this. Alright, so that's the open A string. I'm skipping the low E, open A, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, open G, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B, and the pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay. My 3 chord, B minor, I like to play a B minor like this. So it's a little bit hard to see what's happening here. Is my index finger is on the 2nd fret of the A string, open D. Then my middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the G string, and pinky is on the 3rd fret of the B string, and the open E string at the top. Okay, so that's a 3 chord of B minor. Or I also like to play a B minor, or actually not a B minor, but a G over B. Sometimes you'll see that. That's a similar sound to a B minor. It's only different by 1 note. Very popular sound here. G over B. Then the 4 chord is the C, and I like to play a C like this. You probably are already familiar with this. So that's the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, open G, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and pinky on the 3rd fret of the high A string. So our C chord, our 4 chord, going on to our 5 chord, which is a regular old D. Now you can spice it up a little bit if you take off your 2nd finger. Kind of get that open chord sound. D. Another cool way to do D is to take a traditional C shape and slide it up 2 frets. Tim Hughes will do this a lot in his worship music. You can also put your pinky down on the 5th fret of the high E string and get a real rich, almost kind of a mandolin sound. So that's your 5 chord. Onto the 6 chord, E minor. You can do the traditional E minor like this. I like to brighten it up a little bit and play it like this. So I've got my open E string, 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, open D, open G, and then the ring and 4th fingers on the 3rd fret of the B and G, as you've seen in other chords so far. E minor. That's our 6th chord. On to our 7 chord. We'll play that as a D over F sharp. For worship music purposes, that's what we'll call a 7 chord, the D over F sharp. So that's just a D chord, and then using my thumb to wrap over and hit the 2nd fret of the E string and muting the A string. Then going back to our G chord, alright? So that's G is 1, A minor 2, B minor 3, or a G over B you could use as a 3 as well. Just look at whatever the chord chart calls for. 4 chord, C, 5 chord, D, 6 chord, E minor, 7 chord, D over F sharp, and then the G. Okay? A lot of songs will use this. Your Name by Paul Baloche. The intro kind of goes like this. Alright, and then of course you can take these G shapes and throw a capo on. Matt Redman does this on You Never Let Go. Capo on the 4th fret, so he's in the key of B, but he's playing G shapes. Oh no, never let go, through the calm, through the storm. it's very useful and handy in worship music, so get really, really comfortable with shapes in the key of G, and you can play virtually anything in worship music. Okay.